Good day. Aussie Bonsai Bloke. How you going? Good day, everyone. Welcome back. Today it's just me in the shed. No Seth, he's inside. And we're going to work on this Australian native, which I don't even have a name for, but I'm assuming it's a linifolia or melaleuca linifolia or melaleuca altifolia. Anyway, doesn't really matter. One of those. It could even be the Dysmafolia, but I don't think so. But it could be. I think that's more of a yellow one. Anyway, we're going to work on this tree today. I have no idea where the front is. It's had very minimal work, maybe apart from a couple of cutbacks. This was grown from a tube stock. And I think I bought the tube stocks while I lived here. So less than 4 years and you can have a trunk like this. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. It's amazing that you can have a trunk like that from a tube stock in only a few years. In a pot. Okay, in the ground, yeah, fair enough. In the ground, easy. Put in the ground, easy. You just 1 year, you would have a trunk like that. 2 years would be double. And 4 years would probably be nearly the size of this bloody pot. Nearly. If you look after it. But the problem is the melaleuca is very hard to dig up. Once you've grown it in the ground, it's very hard to dig up and have success in collecting it unless you have it in some sort of a root bag which contains most of the roots, so that when you do dig it up, they're all compacted and it will survive. But the problem with that, guys, is because you're containing the roots and you've got it compacted in that root bag, so anytime the roots go out, they get cut off by the root bag. The problem with that, with an Australian native, is, okay, you've got it in the ground, you don't have to water it as much, but every time it shoots out of that bag, the roots get cut off. And what happens? You get slower growth. And the growth that you get in the ground in a root bag is not much different than what you get in a nursery pot. But if you can plant it in the ground and dig it up, it'd be great. But I don't have any success. I've tried planting these in the ground before and then digging them up. And I've kept them really wet all the time, right on the actual trunk of the tree. And I've kept them wet year after year for 3 or 4 years until they're quite big. I did it with a swamp paper bark that was looking great. And the poor guy bit the dust. It's, I don't know, they're just very hard to dig up, especially in sandy soil. But anyway, I'll give you a spin of the tree. We're going to work on it, so I've probably spent a few minutes already talking. Like I say, I haven't done much of anything with it. Maybe a trunk chop back here, back in the day, but it looks pretty natural. The whole thing, there's no scar marks where I've cut anything. It could be fairly natural. So what we want to do today is we want to establish, okay, there's a lot of trunks and branches. We want to establish the tree now. It's time that we get ourselves on the way to establishing a tree. So, okay, so from now, what we're going to do is we're going to work on this tree today. I'm going to choose a trunk line. The root system probably won't be so critical because, to me, you know, it's buried well and truly deep, and I'm not going to be repotting this for a year. So the root system will have to sort out at a future date, and just hope and pray that there's some good roots out that way. Generally, if something's angled in like that, it'll have a good root spread on the other side. So it's not too much of a surprise, but sometimes it can be. So we're going to just pick the best trunk line and branching. We have some issues with this tree. I don't believe this tree is ever going to be a great tree. I think it's always going to be a very mediocre type tree. Beautiful foliage, really super healthy. Not very flexible, just broke. And yeah, we're going to work on it. So, a big flaw with this tree, massive flaw, is the fact that all these, it's got 4 main branches in the middle of here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. At least 3 main branches. Now, the big flaw is if you turn it 180, the whole lot are almost on a ruler line in line. And this is going to present a big problem for the future style of this tree. It looked good from one direction there or there, but from the other direction it's going to look absolute crap. I don't know what to do, I really don't, because it's got to a point where it's too thick to bend these main 3 branches. The 4th branch, yes, can be bent out. Even then it'll struggle, it might snap. But yeah, the other ones, might be able to get them offline a little bit. We'll see. Let's see. It's well rooted in this pot, so I could use guide wires down to the pot. But it's going to be super hard. We do have a lot of little branches that can create a little bit of depth, you know. But it would be great if all the 3 trunks weren't on the same line. That's just a pretty disgusting sort of 2D look, or 4 trunks on the same line. So we're gonna fix that up. Let's get to it. I'll probably hop back and forth to the camera, and I may not film it all. And here we are, probably 15 minutes in. Most people would have finished the video by now, but I've only just started. So if you like long videos, you might like my channel, but if you don't, you'll hate it, because I try to go through everything as if you're doing like a 2-hour demo in front of someone, you know. So what do? Well, I think we just choose the main trunk lines that we want. Okay, do some big cuts now if we have to, and then choose some branching that we want to cut back to, and try to manipulate some of the main trunks. There's 3 main trunks, a 4th one on its way. Try and manipulate them so they're not quite exactly on the same plane, because it's pretty ugly to look at. Or another option is to actually just eradicate, okay, 2 of the trunks and shrink the tree, and then use little branches like this as front and back branches. And because you've minimized the tree and cut everything else completely off, it'll make sense, because it'll only have 1 trunk line with little branches coming off, and you've cut all the big branches off. So for now, I'm going to see if I can keep the big branches, because it would be great, because, you know, this tree's worked so hard to create all these nice big branches. So let's try keeping the big branches. Where would the front be? It can be either way. Both look really good. That side or that side. Both are equally just as good as each other. I don't think you would be wrong in cutting one off compared to another. Maybe it'll depend on the branch structure. Okay, so this branch here at the front here, or the side, will be the right hand side. If we cut that one off short here, we could potentially move it enough okay, enough that it becomes a back branch with this nice big back one here and this one here. So I think we should just chop that off and just see if that's a possibility. Okay. Now, is that a possibility to move that far enough away from that main trunk line? Yeah, I think it is. I think we can make that a good back branch and give it some good depth and not have everything on the same plane. I fear that the two main trunks are so solid and set in their foundation that they will be on the same plane. But if we can make this one and this other little one on this side on a different plane, whether it's forward, back, I feel like we could be onto something. I haven't looked at this tree at all. So today is the first day, and maybe I should have looked at it. Maybe I should have spent 2 or 3 days studying it and really trying to find a trunk line. But, you know, I'm a kamikaze type of a dude, and we're just going to get in there and cut things back. So, with that said, I love this little branch down here. We'll keep that. This one here can be bent in a different way. Keep that one up there. This one's going to be bent now a certain way, and then we're just going to be looking for a top of a tree. So, where is the top of the tree going to be? I want it to look like an Australian native gum tree, maybe some sort of a gum tree, a sugar gum or something. I know it's a melaleuca, but it looked really cool as a sugar gum or something. So we're going to cut that back. That one will be there. I guess what I'm saying now is we've got to choose the main trunk. These two are the same thickness. The thing is, this one here, if you look at this one, yes, it's got a straight section here. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, probably pretty hard. Okay, it's got a straight section here. But it's got a lot more options up the top. This other branch, once it gets to here, it's got no options. So I'm thinking we get rid of this one here. Okay. Then we can shorten some of this stuff here for now. Shorten it just a little bit. Okay, nothing's final. And I'm going to have to definitely go off camera because it's going to be a huge video otherwise. And then we just have to work out which way we're bending this one, and the main thick one back here that we cut. We've got to bend them different ways so that it fills the tree out and creates width as well as depth. So, I don't know. I'm not sure how much filming I can do for now because I'm trying to learn this at the same time as you guys are because I'm just an amateur mucking around in the shed. And that is the truth. I'm just an amateur in the shed mucking around, and I have to now have a good hard think about how I'm going to go ahead with this tree. If I rush it now and just quickly trim it up and make it look half like a tree for you guys, it won't be respecting this tree. This tree won't be as good as it could have been if I spent a lot of time really studying the structure. So I'm going to pause it for now, guys. Maybe do a little bit of work here and there, some bending, guide wire, and I'll get back to you in a minute. So cheers, guys. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, good day, guys. Well, I haven't sorted out styling decisions, but I have put a guide wire on this branch, which is quite a thick one, And we just want to bend that forward just so that we don't have that two-dimensional, everything all in a straight line, you know, front to back, apart from one back branch. So I want to pull this one forward. I've put some, you know, just some plastic tubing around the wire to protect the branch. Cut a hole in here. I just wanted to show you this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to crank it down. Okay, until we feel like we're about to snap the branch or we've gone far enough. Okay, I can hear some creaking. That's enough. Okay, so melaleucas definitely do not like doing anything much more than creaking. In actual fact, my heart sunk there for a second when I heard some creaking, and I thought she was about to blow. But what you do is you just back it off just slightly. When you hear the creaking, back it off slightly and then set your guide wire. So there you go. That's pulled that one around pretty well. And now when you look from here, definitely not on the same plane. It's hanging way out here. Like it's come 45-degree angle, so that'll create a lot more interest in this tree in the future. Now, another one that we want to do is this one. Whether or not we want to go back or forward as well, I'm not sure. Or out and forward, or even back. We could even go back because we've got this one down here to cover in the front if we want to. Or we could go back, forward with this one, which is what I just said, or forward with this one and back with that one. I feel like we come forward with this one, it looks like we've just completely like shut the whole tree in like that. Better off having one forward and let's do one back, and it'll create hopefully more of a dynamic look to the whole thing. We'll see. You know, like I say, I'm just an amateur stuffing around the shed, and I just want to create something natural looking. I'm sick of these bloody bonsai looking trees. I can create a bonsai looking tree, you know, reasonably easy. Front, back, sorry, left, right, back, left, right, back, left, right, back. Keep all the proportions in control, make a nice little round dome, done. You got a beautiful tree which will sell for a lot of money, more than something like this. But to me it's not interesting. It doesn't look like a bloody tree. It looks like a bonsai. And to me, I want to make a tree, not a bonsai. And some of my bonsais are bonsais, definitely. 3/4 of them. But I want to start steering away from that. If I've got a nice bit of Australian native material, I want to steer away from making something like that. Make something more natural, like a native gum tree in a paddock. So anyway, so we're going to now probably guide wire this little guy. Alright, I'll just show you. I'll go and get some tubing. Take a second, so stay with me. I'm just getting some tubing. It won't take long. And I'll show you the tubing. Okay, just tube. Plastic drip-a-line, not drip-a-line, like fish tank tubing. That's all it is. That's all it is. And then we just want to come along here. Find a good point to bend this branch at. Run the wire through the tubing. Okay. The wire through the tubing. Find a good strong spot to anchor it that's not going to wreck the whole branch structure or anything, or split a branch, or potentially break the main branch that you want to do. Then you want to work out where you want to pull it to. Okay, so we've got this one forward here. I wouldn't mind that one going back that way over there. And then this one here can come forward into this area. So let's do that. That's got to go back that way. So if we're going to go back that way, where does it go to? Exactly where you push on that branch with an exact straight finger with a straight exact finger, mate. Wherever you push and wherever it ends up, like if you push to where you want it to be, whatever your finger's pointing at on the pot is where you want to make your hole. So if you want to bend this branch completely backwards and down, where your finger points is where it's going to be. If you want to just go back a bit and, you know, where your finger's pointing is here, where my other finger is. So let's put a hole here and let's see whether I'm right. Let's see whether this bloody shed hack is right in where I just put my hole. So here we go, we got the wire. Put that through there, and this head shack can pull that down, and let's see what happens. This has moved a little bit on that branch, otherwise doing okay. Don't just pull it with the wire, because if you pull it with the wire, you can't feel what this branch is doing back here where the stress point is. If you want to move something further than what I am today, with this branch here, that one already creaked. If you want to move something further than that, you have to do raffia and wire. And if you want to do that, go to a different channel because I've got no idea. But for me, I do guide wires and I just feel the stress of the tree. And I push it as far as I'm game. And as far as I need to, I guess. So I'll just kink that wire off there and cut it, and I can lessen the angle or make it more if I need to. But yeah, that actually gives it some pretty good all-round depth, roundness, width. It gives it a bit of everything. I would like to see that one bend out more that way. I probably could do it. I feel like it's flexible enough. Let's give it a go. Only problem is I didn't leave a stub there. And the problem is if you don't have a stub to hold to when you try and flex it down and around like that, what can happen is the pressure of the wire strips off all the inside branches that some of them you might want to keep. You're better off keeping a stub here, tying it here, and all the pressure goes on that stub. But here I haven't done that, and I'm the fool for it, you know, because I can bend that out like that. Do I have wire for that? Probably not. Could I actually? Oh, there you go. Big split. Probably killed that branch. That's how brittle these are. They just put out a little split and then they're done. Now, he is still connected at the base. Okay. Still connected at the base, but will he survive? Probably would. He's still quite solid past that point, but now the beautiful shape of that, if you'd pulled that out and pulled that out, is gone. So what do? Do you know, you can put a wedge between there, spread them out, create a nice big round tree. Put a little bit of cut paste in there and it'll probably survive. Good chance, as long as it's split long ways down the whole trunk. Don't know if you can see that. It's completely long ways and it hasn't cut across the cambium. It's just split down the trunk. So I guess for a natural feature, what I could do is put, obviously I can't bend shape into that now because it's going to put too much pressure back here. Okay, so this is a fail, big fail. And this is what working with Australian natives is like. They don't really give you a warning. You think they're going okay, and then bang. And that's why this branch here, when it gave a little crack, I was seriously worried, because it can literally go from a tiny sound to bang, gone, like that one, split down the middle. So I think we can save it. We'll put some wood glue on it. But the amount of design we can do today has just changed. Instead of getting some nice bend in the top of this tree, this is going to be more about preservation and also still keeping some good shape. So we can use this opportunity to push that out, make it look nice by doing that. And then we can just fill it up with a lot of wood glue, and, you know, things will be okay. They'll be okay. And if that branch dies off, we'll have to just redesign it, won't we? You've got to remember, this tree is only 4 years from a tube stock. So, you know, another 4 years, it can be completely something else. And I'll put almost no effort into this tree at all. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to open this up. I'm putting a bit of wood in there, create a bit of division in that. Now when you look around the tree, there's no straight lines like before. Remember, before there was 4 lines. Got a bit of wood in there. Now you can see that it's no straight lines. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to soak that with wood glue. So I'm just going to get some PVA wood glue, which will just seal it off. And I might even apply it a couple of times, let it dry, apply it again. And you know, obviously you guys are going to see an update on this. I don't hide mistakes, hence showing you this branch breaking off. If I, you know, with the advantage of editing, I could have quite easily just edited this bit out, cut one branch short, kept the other branch as the main trunk, and said that was my decision for the styling. But no, I don't do that. I'll show you the whole thing, and I'll definitely show you an update on how well this thing survives. Does it survive? Does it die back? Does one branch die off? Does the whole top die off? Either way, I'm not overly scared, because it's all interest in the tree in the end. It all creates some sort of interest. And sometimes a mishap can create a really nice, interesting piece in a final tree. So don't get too worried if you snap something, or in this case, snapped but potentially still viable. I would say it's got a 50-50 chance of surviving. If I really want to, I could wrap around that, but I don't think I need to. It split straight down the middle of the trunk, almost dead perfect. So we'll leave it at that, and it'll be like a bloody lightning strike or something, you know? Right, so now we've got the main branches set. Got this one out here, this one hanging out here with the wood glue. This one here is fine how it is. Now, there could be a portion of the top that needs to bend back. I'll step back and have a look at that in a second. But yeah, we'll see how we go with that. Or maybe we'll just head with this one and cut the top of that one off, which I think is probably going to be an option. So let's do that. Let's cut this off. And then that will be the main trunk, come back that way. And we'll shorten him as well. I don't like to see too many straight sections. So I think as the tree grows, we'll let some straight sections sort themselves out. What else? Well, if we need to wire something else, I guess we will. What else would we need to wire? Probably this. I think we need to wire this one. As you've seen before, don't over over pull things down. These melaleucas, mate, they don't give you much warning, man. They really don't. Sometimes they let out a creak, other times just a pure snap. That's it, gone. Catch you later. I've had enough of this bending, I'm out of here. And I'm thinking what I'll do with this little guy at the front is I'm going to bend him sort of forward. I might even do a separate guide wire for each one and bend them forward. It's not uncommon if you go and have a look at an Australian native gum or melaleuca in the wild. It's not that uncommon to see a smaller branch at the bottom hanging out the front, or what you would consider the best view of the tree. It's not that uncommon. It can add to the tree for sure. You don't always have to have the thickest branch at the bottom. It can sometimes just be nice to have something there with a bit of foliage. So I'm going to get some more dripper on. 2 more bits because we're doing 2 more cuts. There you go. Wouldn't you like to be on stage doing a demo and crack a whole trunk down like that? Wouldn't that be exciting? What would you do? Would you freak out? Make out nothing happen? Would you raffy it up? Would you just snap the bit that broke off? What would you do? Be extremely, if you really did mess up the tree, it would be extremely embarrassing. But part of bonsai, and it would actually really benefit the demo, seriously, because it would show the realism of working on bonsai. Branches do snap, even if you're an expert. And like I say, I'm just a shed hack. But if you were an expert and something broke, like, it happens. It does happen. You just have to learn to deal with it. I guess you could have a plan B backup, but my plan B backup for this tree would just be to cut that broken section off, and then just let it regrow. Just wait another bloody 2 years, because this is only 4 years from nothing. So I would just cut one of them off, cut the other one short if I knew that it was completely gone, and then let it regrow. Or train one of these guys up as the main leader and cut the thing right off, or this one as the main leader. But I feel like in this tree itself, it's going to actually add something. I'm serious. I think this tree, that crack down the trunk, is going to add something as long as it survives. And I said it's got a 50-50 chance of surviving, but I think it's actually more like a 80% chance of surviving. I'll let that glue dry. I'll put one more lot on, and we'll see what happens. If this turns brown up here, then I have to cut it off. But at the moment, it's still pretty solid. I think it just split down the middle of the trunk. I think it will still be fine. Now, I guess we have to decide what we want to do with all these side branches. Do we want to wire this whole thing out and really, create some little branches? Well, I guess we could wire the main ones out and create a real structure to the shape of what we want for the future tree. Yeah, I guess we could. Let's do it. I don't have a lot of wire, but I'm going to go ahead and wire this out. If you want to see wiring, go and check someone else's channel out. I'm not a great wirer, and I'll just go ahead and put some on the main branches that we're keeping. I think just for now, let's go through and just chop some long stuff off that we're definitely not keeping. So you'll get a bit of an idea of the shape. So let's cut some of the ones off that we definitely won't be keeping for now. And then we'll wire back some of them, whatever we decide. That one can go at the back, that one can get cut off. The benefit of cutting off things that you know you're not going to want is you don't have to wire them. And the things that you do end up wiring, the trunk line is a lot cleaner, so it's a lot easier to wire. So we're going to probably cut it there, cut it there, cut a bit of downward stuff there. See what we got. Here, I'll probably shorten that pretty well. Spin it. Do more trimming. This branch here, that one there. We might shorten that to here. And that one to there. And make a tree with that. So we'll do minimal wiring, just some main structural branching, and I'll get back to you. But really taking shape, looking good. G'day guys, just cutting in to say, sometimes rather than wiring out a whole branch, it's better if you've got a stronger branch like up here, to use that and use a guide wire actually up rather than down. Normally guide wires are used to go down, but sometimes a guide wire can be quite useful going up. So what you'll do there is you'll get your dripper tube or your fish tank tube, your bit of wire, you'll wrap it around, you'll put your wire through the tube. Because we've got the guide wire here, it's going to stop the bottom part of that branch going up and then create some good shape to that one. And then we'll wrap it around here, so work out where it's going to pull from. Okay, so it's going to pull from here. So we'll wrap our fish tank tube around there. Now, same thing around this other end. We'll put our fish tank tube on, pull her up, and just create an, Australian native trees are upright, elegant trees. That's the best way to describe them. Upright, elegant trees. and they have slender trunks compared to their height. A lot of the growth goes upwards with some nice fine looking branching. Okay, we'll just trim it off here. Okay, we'll trim that branch off here. Just give it a bit of a trim. Doesn't have to be anything special right now because it'll regrow and it'll fill out now that it's assumed its new style. Okay, and we don't need to really go ahead. We could chop things back shorter to create a bit more angling in the branches. Okay, this one here, I think we should pull it down. So let's get a guide wire on that one. Look at this bloody mess. Absolute friggin' amateur. You know, guys, when I tell you that I'm an amateur, I really mean it. Like, some of those guys out there are pure experts. They know exactly what they're doing. They know the horticulture of every plant they're working on. Me, I work on a plant when I get time. I try to do it at the right time of year, but quite often it's just when I get time. And I don't really know what I'm doing. I just have a go. Make it look like what I think a tree looks like, I guess, is the main thing I do. But to be honest, I am definitely just a hack having a go. And I try to be horticulturally conscious as far as if a tree is weak, I do not work on it. I only work on my stronger trees. Sometimes that does fail me. And I just try and style it like what I see a tree looking like. So here we got a lot of downward ones. I don't want those yet. I would like a downward branch after it grows out a little bit. So maybe there. Shorten some of these straight little sections here. Remember, you want to shorten it more than what you think the tree is going to end up. So if the tree is going to end up here, you want to shorten it a lot more than that, so that on the way, the tree's growth on the way out to there has a lot of different branching and structure. If you just let everything grow to there and trim it to there, it'll be a bush. It'll just be a hedge. If you cut it back hard and keep cutting it back hard every year and let it slowly grow out to what you want the tree to be in the future, then it will have great, you know, branch division, ramification, angle changes. You know, it's not just about changing from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16. It's also about, you know, different angles in the branches and the foliage moving around this way and that way. And this straight bit here, it's okay because it's got older bark, okay? I can live with it. Would have I liked to change it? Yes, obviously, because I wanted to change it and I went to put some movement in it and I snapped a big split down the main trunk, which is now full of wood glue and should be fine. But the short answer is yes, I did want to change that. I didn't want that little bit of a straight section. But with the old bark on there, it'll be okay. In the future, will I be able to change it? Probably not. So if I really don't like it now, I should get rid of it because it's only going to get harder and harder to bend. Today, I would have been able to bend it if I didn't go and snap the middle of the trunk. I would have been able to put a little bit of a bend in that. Like I did at the start of the video, I showed you I had a bit of a bend in it, but it didn't work out. And I guess this video is partly to show you things don't work out. They don't always work out how you want them. And we're just creating structure for the future. Structure for the future. Things don't have to be perfect yet. It's not going to go on a show anytime soon. Probably no time in the next at least 4 or 5 years. It's 4 years old, so it'll be 10 years old before it even thinks about a show. It's got to earn its dues, you know. So, yeah, don't worry too much if you wreck something. Got plenty of time to fix it. So there you go. There is our work on the melaleuca. To look like an Australian native or a gum. So there you go. Hopefully in the future things will fill out, things will develop, and it will look like a really nice old gum tree somewhere in nature. There you go. I think we're pretty well done. As you can see, a few guide wires here and there. I didn't even end up wiring a branch. Did it need it? Probably not. I think it looks pretty good how it is. Yeah, you could wire a branch up, then out, then up again. But sometimes I think that's more contrived than if you just clip and grow and do some guide wires. So anyway, personal choice. All I can say is I think it's looking pretty good. I'll give it a last spin. Can't show the roots because they're buried. Yes, I completely split this trunk down. I've put white glue on it. Hopefully it survives. I think it will because it split completely down the middle of the trunk. It didn't crack out to a side. If it cracked out to a side and was floppy, good luck, it's dead. But because it went straight down the trunk, possibly should be okay. Because both of these trunks that end up splitting down are the same size, which I think helped me in making it split down the middle. But a good reminder that the Australian natives are extremely fragile and without warning can completely split out, because this branch here cracked a little bit, just gave me a little crack, and then I backed off and then tied it off and it's fine. But this one here gave me a smallest crack ever and then bang, completely split from there all the way down to here, down the trunk, and let's hope she's okay. Anyway, I've taken up enough of everyone's precious time. Let's hope it turns into something. If it doesn't, I guess it doesn't really matter. It's only a 4-year-old tube stock, cost me $4. But it's still a pity every time a tree doesn't make it. But I think it will. And I think in time that will actually add a lot of interest, that big crack, rather than take away from the tree. So there you go. Right, I got to go and edit this beast of a video, which has turned out to be a massive video again because I can't shut up and stop talking. But I hope I do explain a few things to some people that do watch the whole video. If you don't watch the whole video, well, obviously you're not going to get it all. Cheers, guys. Last spin. I know it's not great, but it's got bones. Come on. At least it's got bones. And now there's no four lines of trunks all in a row, mainly because I split the thing in half. But I pulled one forward, one back, and I hope you agree it's an improvement. And every time you work on a tree, all you need to do is an improvement. That's it. As long as you improve the tree every time you work on it and make it look more like a tree, less like a bush, you've improved it. And I hope you'll agree I've done that, as long as the trunks at the top survive, which I've put it up to 80%. 80% positive. Should be wondering whether or not I could somehow bend that over like that. I just don't have strong enough wire. Be nice to. But then you get this bloody, unnatural looking curve. So, do you know what? Big chop coming up. Big chop. If you hung around for this little bit, big chop coming up. Bang. Whole tree finishes there. Well, how about that? There'll be no higher trunk. There's two trunks the same, finish same spot. You don't have that ugly section up there. One might become slightly higher in the future, but we'll see. Could be this one, could be this one. Maybe they'll stop the same. I think they're going to stop the same. Good choice, I think. Let me know. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it's already chopped off. That was just dumb. Okay, so it's already chopped off. So what can I do? Cheers.